Hi there and welcome to Unit 2, the Teacher as Key Player, where we will start to look at how you can become an out-of-this-world creative teacher. We will start with an overview of the unit. Here we're going to be investigating the pivotal role that you as the teacher is going to play in creating the optimal creative learning environment. We're going to look at the qualities that contribute to being a successful teacher. We're going to consider the importance of an educator's attitude in developing successful teaching techniques, consider some of the challenges and positive aspects of teaching in this enormously diverse society, and to finish off, we'll explore the importance of the teacher as being a role model. I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit of my personal experiences. And I'm going to be telling you about the person who inspires me as a teacher. I was incredibly fortunate to be taught by Heather Cross. She taught Standard 4 for 46 years in the same school, in the same classroom. In fact, I was in the second to last year that she taught. While she never married, we were all her children. And in fact, some of our classmates were actually closer to being her great-grandchildren, as she had taught not only their mothers, but I believe also some of their grandmothers. The amazing thing was that in a time when chalk and talk teaching methods were considered the best form of teaching, Heather Cross incorporated art, drama, and fun into our lessons. Just a quick example was at the end of every unit of Afrikaans, we would act out whatever it was that we had been learning about. In fact, at one stage, she actually got a video camera in the old days of VCRs and video cameras, and she actually recorded us so that we could watch ourselves acting. Then she also used project-based learning, which was very unusual at that time. I have to say, she pushed me to perform at a higher level than I'd ever performed at before. She ran this amazing club called the Know Your World Club, where even my family used to come along. And I could remember meeting scientists, studying ozone, belly dancers. There was a woman who lay on a bed of nails in front of us, and Heather, who was not a small lady, stood on her. We got to meet explorers who'd been to the South Pole. In a time when you couldn't see these things, there was no internet. And this happened every Thursday from 2:30 to 4. And the lecture theatre just used to fill up with girls and their families. I know my sister, who I think was probably only about 5 at the time, used to come along. I have actually heard that Heather Cross actually brought a cow to school once, although this was way before my time. But more than that was the impact that she had on my attitude towards learning. Well, for that year at least, my attitude towards school as well. She helped me to foster a belief that I could learn and that I was actually intelligent, even though I'd had awful experiences at my previous school, because I'm one of those people who never fit the box, because I never came in a box. She built this relationship based on trust and honest care, and she wasn't afraid to let me know if I hadn't performed to my potential, or to give me a second chance to try again. In fact, she even made me relearn how to write. I had learned print script, I had learned cursive, and my writing was horrendous. And when I got there, she said, sorry, we don't use this. We use italics, which is very similar to the Natalia script that a lot of schools still use, which I must be honest, I love. And yeah, so even after she retired, if I'd see her in the local shopping centre, she was always happy to stop and find out how we were doing. She would remember our names. She would ask us what we'd been up to, and she always had a kind word for us. We're going to be starting with two themes in this video. The first one being theme 1, which is understanding what it means to be a teacher. Here you're going to analyze the identity of the teacher and debate what motivates teachers to be teachers. I'm hoping by now you know why you're wanting to be a teacher. We're also going to be looking at theme 2, which is aptitudes for teaching and attitudes towards teaching. In this theme, we're going to discuss what personalities and characteristics are suitable for working with young learners. And also, we're going to create a list of the skills that facilitate the promotion of creativity and problem solving in the classroom. You're going to have to do quite a lot of reading for these themes, so please make sure that you spend some time before your lectures going through the reading material. So, before we carry on, I'd like you to take a moment to think about who you are as a teacher. So your identity as a teacher. Who are you? Write 10 I am statements that describe yourself as a teacher. So go ahead and pause me, and when you're done, you can carry on with the video. While I wish my teacher identity looked like this is probably a little bit more accurate of what I look like as a teacher. Firstly, I am a mother. I stand in loco parentis. In my classroom, I am the mom. My record has been that the oldest child to call me mom was one of my third-year varsity students. Right, my second identity, personally, is that I am a creator of learning experiences. I am a thinker. I reflect on what I've done and I make changes. I'm a designer. I try to create interesting lessons with interesting slides. I'm a disciplinarian. I create structure in my classroom so that learning can happen. I'm a clown. I've always said I would stand on my head and sing God Save the Queen if it would help a child to learn. I'm a researcher. I get to know my children. And I research how to help my children. As a special ed teacher, the internet, occupational therapists, speech therapists, physiotherapists, psychologists, doctors, parents, books, libraries, were all the places that I have had to go and to look and to research to find out about my children. And then also from my children themselves. I am a child. I love toys. Those students who've met me in person know that I love my wheelchair with its remote control. In fact, I love anything with a remote control. The TV, remote control cars, you name it. I even love to fly those little drones that you get. I also said that I think I spent 5 years in grade R because I never learned to share. We'll ignore the fact that I was the teacher. Then I am serious. What I do is important. And what I teach has value to my children's lives. And then my final one is that I am passionate. I'm not just passionate about teaching. I'm actually passionate about learning. I only learned how to learn after I'd gotten out of school. And I don't want that for the children that I teach. I want them to be able to embrace their abilities while they're still in the system. If we consider attitude versus aptitude, the question comes up, are we naturally teachers or are we developing skills to become teachers? Aptitude is when you have a natural talent for something that somebody innately possesses, whereas attitude is the way one thinks about or feels about something. I can tell you right now that I do not have a natural aptitude for running. And no matter how much hard work I put into improving my running skills, no matter how much training I do, I'm not going to become an expert runner ever. Fortunately, teaching is not the same as running. Yes, some people may be natural teachers, but with hard work, good training, and the right attitude, people can become great teachers. So now we're going to move on to look at what it takes to be a good teacher. Chapter 1 of PM2 goes into the meaning of being a teacher, and it identifies some points that I'm going to discuss here. The first thing that it identifies is cultivating the art and science of teaching. Now, this is not new to you, but what I think is important to understand here is that cultivating the art brings out that passion, the expressiveness, and the being inspiring and being creative. And the science is knowing the methods and choosing the best techniques for the lesson and for the children. Beyond and above, there are other factors that really go into making a good teacher, such as motivation. Good teachers are motivated and they inspire motivation. You already know about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. Now, in terms of intrinsic motivation, this is where that passion comes through. And the act of teaching is the reward in itself. In the same way, for children, the act of learning becomes the reward in itself. Now, teachers who are motivated are prepared to take risks. They build relationships. They seek opportunities for growth, and they model lifelong learning. Teachers who are good teachers focus on the children, not the content. Teaching is way more than just delivering the content. It's about evaluating the children's needs and responding to those. I think back on the children and the students that I've worked with during my career, and I think of all the small things that made a difference. For children to learn, they need to have a relationship with you, and they need to know that they are valued. One of the things that I used to do for my grade R children was to ensure that every single child felt special on his or her birthday. It didn't take a lot to do that, but it really made a difference in terms of how the children responded. I worked at a school where fortunately we had a mix of both the higher income and the lower income children. So often people would send in way more than what we needed for a birthday party. So what I would do is I would take 1 or 2 packets of chips, stick them in my stock room, and I would keep them there. And then when one of the other children who didn't have party goodies to bring along for a birthday party had a birthday, we would get those out and we would have a party anyway. And that was so important. I remember one of my parents coming to me and crying to say thank you that we'd had a party for his child, that they had felt so terrible that they hadn't had anything to make him special on his 6th birthday. So it's about those extra things that you do to help children and to realize that you actually build a positive relationship with the children in your class. Going beyond the classroom is about being a lifelong learner. It's about not stopping developing yourself as a teacher once you get into the classroom. It's about keeping up to date on the latest in educational technology. And my goodness, doesn't it drive me crazy? It changes so fast and there's so much coming out all the time now. It's about using the best assessment methods and how best to support the learners. It's about new teaching strategies and having the best resources that you are able to get. Professional development needs to be ongoing. It needs to be experimental. It needs to be collaborative, and it needs to be connected to the teaching and learning foundations. They've actually shown that better educated teachers lead to better educated learners. The final one I'm bringing in here is something that you're going to hear over and over again, and it appears in later chapters, but it's reflection. That you have to be honest with yourself and prepared to put in the effort to improve your teaching and learning. You need to be able to engage in higher order thinking and creative problem solving in order to create the best possible learning experiences for the children in your class, to create the most effective learning experiences for them. This video has basically given you an introduction to themes 1 and 2, and your lecturer will guide you through gaining a deeper understanding of these concepts and through the completion of the activities that are related. I will only see you again when you reach theme 3.